5 things I learned after spending millions of dollars on Facebook ads.
CEO of Smobile.
Peng, Joon is here.
I want you to set your expectations high because I will massively exceed them. I know that the word millions of dollars these days seems to be a term that's used very loosely, but today I'm going to be showing you actual numbers, campaigns, and actual profitable and also not profitable campaigns so that you don't have to make the mistakes that I made when it comes to running Facebook ads. Now, you've seen me release a couple of Facebook ads trainings in the past, but today I'm going to be showing you some of these different accounts and what I've learned in my entire journey spending like literally millions of dollars. This is an ad account. So like this ad account over here alone, we've spent over $1 million. But let's just say over $1 million, and the journey of what I learned when it comes to really understanding this. So what I'm gonna attempt to do is I'm gonna try to squeeze it down to 5 important things, 5 tips, 5 strategies. If I were to summarize the entire journey of running ads, which by the way, I've had probably at least, if I were to estimate, at least 5 ad accounts shut down in the past. You know, I've learned things truly the hard way. None of it is going to be based on theory, but actual practicality. And if you stay towards the end, you will see why watching this video is literally going to save you thousands, if not tens and thousands or hundreds and thousands of dollars in mistakes, not to mention the additional sales when it comes to scaling, so that you don't have to figure things out through trial and error like I did. Okay, so let's talk about what they are when it comes to running Facebook ads and the essentials. Far too many people, when they run ads, they're not even knowing the numbers. And number one, in order to know your numbers, you gotta have your pixel installed. So if you do not have your pixel installed, make sure you go and have it installed, and the place to do it is over here. Okay, the way you install your pixels is you go to Events Manager, and when you go to click on details, you'll be able to click on setup, and you want to click on install pixel. Okay, so this part here, I've covered this in many other videos, so I'm not going to go like in depth, but basically Facebook will give you a box of code, and you are going to take this code and install it on the software you use to build funnels. Okay, so for example, the one that I use is ClickFunnels, and the place you would do it, so this could be Shopify, this could be WordPress, but it's super simple. All you need to do is when you go to that specific sales funnel, for ClickFunnels for example, you go to settings, and all you're going to do is under the tracking code where it says hit tracking code, you see this? All I'm going to do, and all you need to do, is to paste the pixel code in this box over here that Facebook gives you. Okay, so you must have your pixel, and which by the way, I'm just going through this real quick because if you type in Facebook pixel or how to install Facebook pixel, WordPress, Shopify, ClickFunnels, there's probably like 100,000 videos talking about that, which is very basic, so I'm not gonna dive deep into it, but that's number one. In order to have profitable campaigns, you have to know your numbers, and to know your numbers, you need to be tracking it, and to track it, you need to have your Facebook pixel installed. The second thing that you have to do that most people do not do is to niche down to a specific audience. It means that when you are running an ad, the most common one that you want to use, this is like the golden rule, okay, is to run it based on conversions. Now, when you run an ad based on conversions, here's what you want to be doing when it comes to audiences. Now you see this? When you run into an audience, most of the time, people will base it on their demographics, interests, and behaviors. Now, let's say if I am a speaker trainer trying to target people interested in public speaking, okay? See, public speaking has 14 million people that would be interested in this topic. That's really wide, which can be good if you're looking to scale and you have something that's profitable. But one of the things that you want to do starting out is to really zoom in, and this is a advanced piece most people don't do, is to zoom in based on either an organization or a public figure or a name of a software or something where you can craft a message that speaks directly to them. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, so rather than targeting public speaking, which has got 14 million people, what if you were to target an organization instead? For example, Toastmasters. Okay, let's see what Facebook says. Now, Toastmasters International has 1.7 million people interested. Okay, now imagine this. So if let's say I had a product, a course, an event, a seminar, a workshop teaching people how to overcome the fear of speaking, or teaching people how to conduct webinars and who want to learn how to communicate better. You see, rather than targeting people public speaking, which is what most people would do, a much more powerful message where you could get a message to market match is if you read an ad that targeted people like Toastmasters International, where your ad says, top 5 things I learned from Toastmasters International. Guess what? And then this one ad is shown only to people who have interest in Toastmasters International. Same thing, if let's say I run a software or I want to teach people some sort of drop shipping product, okay? Rather than targeting somebody's interest, where there's nothing wrong with that, which is, drop shipping, okay? And there's 13 million people interested in drop shipping. What if I targeted people who like Shopify instead? Okay, if somebody uses Shopify, now, even though the size is 19 million people, guess what? Because they use this software, I know how I can speak their language. And chances are they're a much more serious audience, right? Same thing, if let's say I want to target content creators, if I target people who like HubSpot, okay, and I create a HubSpot related ad where I could be in the software showing people what I use HubSpot for and how I use it to scale my business, guess what? Even though there's 3.9 million people, I'm now speaking their language. So the question I want you to think about is, how can you apply this second piece, which is to niche down to a specific audience? And this audience could be a book name, it could be the name of just one author, celebrity, public figure, it could be a software, it could be an organization, and to craft a very specific ad that speaks that language that only people who are in that community, in that organization would resonate with, because now there's a very strong message to market match. Okay, so that's number 2. Rather than just targeting a broad audience, focus and niche down and create specific ads for these specific interests. Yes, it's going to be more work because now it's not one size fits all, but you're going to convert a whole lot better because you're now niching down to that specific interest. Number 3 is scaling. Okay, now once you have something that works, how do you scale? There's 2 ways to scale. You can either scale vertically or horizontally. Okay, now scaling vertically just means increasing your ad spend for a specific campaign. It means like increasing your ad spend from $100 a day to $300 a day to $500 a day. Now, usually by doing that, it kind of messes the algorithm. So one of the things that you want to do, rather than constantly just increasing and scaling vertically, it is to increase and scale horizontally. How do you scale horizontally? You scale horizontally by experimenting with new audience, duplicating your ad sets, and going wider. So it is usually better to go wider when it comes to scaling. So if you have something that's working where you could put $1 in and get back $2 out, how do you scale? You scale by first trying to go wider. New audiences, new creatives, new angles, new hooks, new ads, so that you avoid ad fatigue. And that is why if I were to go to some of my ads, and I'll show you in my ads manager, I am constantly trying to create different type of ads. Okay, I'm always experimenting different audiences. Okay, so that's number 3. Experiment different audiences, different hooks, different ads, different demographics, different interests. So you notice I've got all these different interests here. We're always test splitting different interests. And again, you must know your numbers. So for example, once you have your pixel installed, you must know how much does it cost you to get a result. Now, what is a result? The result could be a webinar registrant. It could be the cost of a purchase. It could be the cost of a lead. It could be the cost of somebody attending the live event. Okay, so what is your cost per result? So for example, if you take a look at the cost per result over here, this is for some of my funnels. This is a free plus shipping funnel called Platform Closing, which, by the way, if you want to learn how to build funnels, go check it out, see how the funnel is structured. Okay, now for every person that goes through that specific funnel, I know that on average, the lifetime value of a customer that goes through the funnel is approximately $80. On the other hand, it costs me about $20 to acquire a customer. So I know that on the front end, for every $1 I spend on this one campaign is getting me about $4 in return. Okay, for this next campaign over here, I can see that it cost me $32 to acquire a customer. For this one over here, I can see it cost me $50 to acquire a customer. Now this one, however, I know that the average lifetime value of a customer for this specific funnel is about $200. So it's still very profitable for me if I take into account the lifetime value of a customer. And that's why I can scale. I can scale confidently because I know two things. Do you know what it is? Number one, how much does it cost to acquire a customer? And number two, how much is a customer worth? Now, what if knowing these two numbers is literally the path to scaling? Okay, like literally, if you remove all of the fluff, all of the fat, all of the fillers, the main two numbers you must know when it comes to scaling and growing a company and taking a whole new level and taking campaigns to a whole new level is just these two things. How much does it cost me to acquire a customer? How much is a customer worth to me on average? If you know these two numbers, you can scale to the moon. And if you want to understand how much a customer is worth, for me, the marketing funnel that I use to run everything on the back end, for me, is called ClickFunnels. I'll leave the details in the description box below. If you like to have my best template, my funnels for selling physical products, digital products, webinars, live events, I've created all these different templates in the share funnel. Just go ahead and claim it in the description box below. But that's how you can get started in terms of understanding how much an average customer is worth. Okay, so if you watch my other videos, I'm not going to go deep into that, but I've got my other videos that explains exactly how ClickFunnels does that in terms of having deep understanding of that specific number. Okay, to summarize, number three, what is scaling? Scaling is about you can either scale vertically or horizontally, and the path to scaling is understanding these two numbers. How much does it cost to acquire a customer, and how much is a customer worth? That brings us to number four, understanding that the money is not in targeting, but rather in retargeting. Now, this ad campaign over here cost me $8 per result. Chances are this campaign over here, that's $8 and $5.50, it's because of retargeting, meaning the reason why it normally can cost me $20, $30 to get a purchase, whereas for this over here, it cost me $8 to get a purchase, much lower than usual. It is because it is a retargeting campaign. Now, what is a retargeting campaign? Let me explain. Let me use this funnel, for example. So this funnel, this sales process is called Videos Challenge. It's basically a sales process that I have teaching people video marketing and how to monetize through videos by creating very strategic videos in marketing campaigns. Now, this sales process is created at videoschallenge.com. Now, the next step of the sales process, if people land on this page and if they click on the add to cart button, they are taken to this next step of the sales process called videoschallenge.com/accepted, right? Now, retargeting means this. Inside Facebook ads, once you have your pixel installed, one of the things that you want to create is a custom audience to retarget. Okay, now what does this mean? What is retargeting? Retargeting is basically this. Do you ever notice that when you go to some sort of website and perhaps you were on the site, you were shopping and you left the site, and then suddenly, like instantly, a couple of minutes later, you see the ad asking you to buy stuff from the website that you left? Or perhaps, do you seem to notice these same ads that follow you everywhere, no matter where you go? Now, the reason why you see these same ads over and over again is not because the advertiser is being overly aggressive, but rather it's because at one point in time, you landed on their page or liked, commented, or shared their post, and now you have entered their pixel hell. Okay, so the way to set this up, and when you retarget people, the reason why whenever you see these marketers boasting how they got 5x, 10x, 30x returns on their ad spend, I guarantee you it's not because of their targeting, but rather because of their retargeting campaigns. Okay, so how do you retarget people and have massive ROI? Because that's where the money is. It's basically, and again, I want to make this tactical for you. It's super simple. Under custom audience, when you go to audiences, you're gonna tell Facebook if they came to my first step of the sales process, okay, which is videoschallenge.com. Okay, so if they came to this step number 1, but if they did not click on the buy now button and go to step number 2, notice what I'm doing here. Okay, if they did not go to the next step of my sales process, help me create an audience, and this audience, I'm gonna call it visited but did not check out. Does that make sense? Okay, so now I know that they visited this page, but they click on the buy now button. Therefore, I can run an ad that is going to be more straightforward, that goes for the sale or the close. Okay, so what will my ad say? Once I create this audience type, and it's going to be a much smaller audience rather than millions of people, perhaps this is just, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 people, right? Super targeted. And now my ad could be a testimonial ad. It could come from the angle of, hey, this is Peng here, and I noticed that you visited my site called Videos Challenge, but I noticed that you didn't make the investment, and I can understand perhaps you are skeptical. Here's so-and-so who, just like you, was skeptical, but made the investment, and this is the result he or she is getting today, right now. Okay? Or it could be answering an objection. So the way I talk to these people, because they're so laser focused, I know that they visited the page, chances are they watched the sales video, but they were on the fence for some reason. Maybe they didn't have time, they had other objections, maybe it's the price. But now I can create these different ads that specifically answers these objections. I can create ads that's testimonial based, that is specific to people who visited the page but did not buy. Does that make sense? So retargeting could be also for people who bought and ascends them to the next thing in my business. Because think about this. Who do you think is easier to sell to? Do you think it's easier to sell to somebody that is new, who doesn't know who you are, or to an existing customer, right? 100% existing customer. So that is what retargeting does as well. So that's number 4. Number 4 is retargeting and understanding that the money is in retargeting. So let's recap. What have we done so far? Number 1 is pixels, right? Make sure you're tracking so you can know your numbers. Number 2, niche down your audience. Number 3 is understanding that to scale either vertically, horizontally, and number 4, make sure that you are retargeting. And finally, number 5 is to always ask yourself, what is the hook? Now, what does this mean? Number 5, what is the hook? The hook is basically this. Imagine that right now you're on Facebook, okay, and when a person's on Facebook, here's what they're doing. They're doing this, right? They're scrolling, and you gotta ask yourself, what makes them stop? What is the hook? What is the pattern interrupt? What's going to make them stop to give you that initial 3 seconds of attention? Now, this could be your thumbnail, this could be your video border, this could be your image, but you gotta really think, okay? You could create something that is polarizing, that is controversial. Let me give you some examples. Okay, this will be a good one. Okay, so this is my current an ad that I'm running right now, which has got 617,000 views, and I ran this about 8 days ago. Okay, so it's doing really well. It's got a lot of engagements, but basically, if you take a look at this ad, okay, if you take a look at the border of this ad, it says here how most marketers run ads that suck. Okay, that's the hook. Chances are, if somebody's a marketer, if somebody is running ads, if they're scrolling, having a headline that says how most marketers run ads that suck, chances are if somebody runs ads, they're going to give me that initial 3 seconds of attention. And that is what I want you to be thinking about. Okay, when it comes to running ads, what is the hook? What is the pattern interrupt? Okay, because the only time somebody's gonna stop to watch your ad is if the image, is if the headlines gets their attention. And here's the thing about the hook. So there's a difference between having a good hook and a clickbait. A clickbait means you didn't deliver on your promise. Okay, you want to be thinking about how do you deliver on that hook so that it's not a clickbait, right? The hook is not a clickbait. It is the thing that grabs their attention, but you want to be able to deliver on that hook to make sure it's not a clickbait, okay? And back it up with a story and then the call to action, okay? So that is basically number 5. What is the scroll stopper? What is the hook? What is the pattern interrupt? And basically, those are the 5 things. If I were to kind of summarize 5 things that I've learned after spending millions of dollars on Facebook ads and getting returns, many times over. I'd love to know what your biggest takeaway is. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, for those of you that comment, I'm always doing random giveaways. So if you want to be the next lucky giveaway winner, make sure, and we've been giving out courses, including we've given out iPhones especially, and many different $100 giveaways to many different people. So make sure that you are commenting below. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is. And as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel for future videos like this. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in future videos.